everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Grand Caliber. My name is Marco Nicolini, and today we're doing the Under the Loupe segment, and we have two very special watches to talk about, and there's so much info with each one of these watches that I had to condense this episode just down to these two pieces. So join me as we unbox the very first one, and that is going to be the Blancpain Chinese Calendar watch. Pretty cool box, I would have to say. The box is really nice. It's like carbon fiber. I mean, this watch comes, with quite the presentation, as you can see. Yeah, it's quite the watch. So we're going to take this guy out, put that back. We got an extra strap with it, and this is quite the watch. This watch would have to be shipped ground. There's so much of it. What I have in my hand right here is a Blancpain Chinese Calendar watch in platinum, 45 millimeters. So it's pretty big and it's very heavy, that being in platinum, and it's also a clear back. This watch right here is quite the piece if you are into stuff that is very special, as Blancpain is the only manufacturer right now that has actually done away with making a Chinese calendar watch, because as you guys know, the Chinese calendar does not follow traditional calendars in a sense, as there's an extra 12 to 14 days in a year and it alternates. So it is a very complicated process to make this watch, and today we're going to talk about that. So this watch MSRP is $95,000, so it doesn't come lightly on the wallet as any other perpetual calendar you would expect. Most perpetual calendars typically range from $95K all the way up into the millions of dollars, depending what they are, how they are done, and who makes them. And this is no different. So an entry-level price point for this watch in the secondary gray market is going to be anywhere between $35,000 to $55,000. Again, just depends on who you're getting it from. And I believe in our website we're asking $35,000 if I'm not mistaken on this piece. So there's two versions of this watch that you can buy. That is the platinum version, which is limited to 50 pieces a year. They don't make any more than that. And if you want the watch in a mass-produced setting, when I say mass-produced, I mean more than 50 pieces for this company, that is going to be the rose gold variation. The rose gold variation, they don't have a limit on it. They just produce them as they go. So they're probably, I don't know exactly how many they make per year, but it's far more than 50. It's probably roughly around 1,000 or so. So the one to get, and the one that I would say would hold the best value out of those two, is obviously the one in platinum. One, it's a good wearing watch. When you wear a 45 millimeter platinum watch, you're gonna feel the weight of this watch everywhere you go. And if you got a bigger wrist, it's gonna sit very comfortably. And you have that very classic round watch shape, so it's going to be comfortable no matter what. So I want to show you guys something really interesting. So at the 12 o'clock position, this watch actually tracks and displays the zodiac symbols, which is really neat, and that is going to be present at the 12 o'clock marker. So that's really, really cool and very interesting, because this gets into some kind of crazy horology type stuff. So this, again, the Chinese calendar, again, is a very complicated situation to build around in a mechanical setting. So it's really cool that they're able to actually track all of that. Let's break the dial down. So like I said, at the 12 o'clock, you have the zodiac symbols there. At the 9 o'clock position, it gets really interesting. You have the day and the month of the lunar year, as well as the leap year indicator. So again, quite interesting stuff. And obviously at the 6 o'clock position, you have your classic moon phase. And what I find really interesting with this watch is at the 3 o'clock position, you actually have your 5 elements: wood, water, air, fire, and metal. And then right in the center of that, you have the yin and yang stamp, which is really, really cool. You also have the 10 heavenly stamps, which are also on the dial. Very interesting dial. It's very pretty. It's very white. It's more of an enamel white. On the outside of the dial is going to have your day indicator. So that's where you see it goes all the way to 31. And right now it says it's on the 22nd. You have your Roman numerals for your time. It's not a simple watch by any means. It's very complicated. Again, that process of getting the lunar calendar down into a mechanical configuration has got to be crazy. And there's probably a good reason nobody does it. But Blancpain took it on and they did it. It is made with 450 components. So that is quite a lot of moving pieces in this watch. And not to mention, it has 3 barrels with a 7-day power reserve. So you really have to imagine there is so much going on in this watch. And there's probably a good reason why this watch is 45 millimeter as opposed to 40 or 41. They just need all that room in there to make this watch happen. Another interesting fact is it took 5 years to develop this movement. So that is a long time to work on one movement. 5 years they took on this movement to make it right. This movement is very robust. It is a very tough movement. Like a lot of perpetual calendars, the books will tell you, do not change the time between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. You'll screw up the whole watch. This watch does not care. This is the honey badger of movements, meaning you can throw whatever you want at it and it's going to take it. You don't have to worry about what position you're in. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can just set it and go, and it will be very forgiving. That is extremely difficult to achieve with perpetual calendars, as you know. AP, Patek, and so on makes extremely complicated perpetual calendars, but in their books, they're always going to say, be careful how you change the time and so on. But this watch, again, doesn't care. You can do whatever you want. So that is going to wrap it up for the Blancpain Chinese calendar watch. I hope you guys enjoyed this watch. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this watch. And it's a very special watch. And if you're interested in this watch, it is for sale. And something like this doesn't come around very often because they're so limited and they're very rare. And the price point to get into this watch is not bad at all. So if you want something special, maybe this watch has meaning to you, let us know. Before we do the next watch, we're going to do a quick wrist check. The watch I'm wearing today is a Rolex 6262 Daytona. Just a quick review on this. If you guys know vintage Daytonas, you guys know I'm a huge fan. And the 6262 is a very special reference as it is a transitional reference between the 6239 and the screw down pushers on the 6263s and the 6265s. It's right in the sweet spot of where they're using the much more reliable 727 movement with the pump pusher case versus the older movements, which were the 72Bs and so forth. So it's got that really nice movement, which is also found in the 6263. But regardless, awesome watch. I love wearing it. And it's for sale, so if you guys are interested, it's on the website, so check it out. So the next watch, this is going to be for my degenerate gamblers. This is the watch for you. If you guys got a bunch of money gambling, laying around, you can actually make a lot of money in this watch. You can gamble your friends with it. It is no stranger to our website. It's been with us for quite some time, so I decided to really look into this watch, and boy, actually, I'm amazed at what went into this watch, and that is going to be the Christophe Claret Blackjack watch. Quite interesting. So let's unbox this thing. This box alone, by the way, weighs at least 15 pounds. It is the heaviest box in our inventory, and it goes on the bottom shelf because we don't need this thing breaking our shelving. Oh my god. So there you go, if you can see that. And it has so much suction apparently. Jesus. And this watch comes with quite a bit of stuff for you. They really don't leave you hanging on the accessories. So you got the box. You even get a really nice watch roll with it. So you get a polishing cloth and a Christophe Claret bag that you can put the watch in. And then you get this crazy book that will explain everything. So you get the nice wallet book that has your guarantee and everything else in it. So again, this is a super complete watch, as we would say. It's not missing anything. But as you can see, it comes with a deck of cards, dice, a chip, and the watch, obviously. So let's get right into it. So once again, this is the Christophe Claret Blackjack watch. Probably one of the most amazing watches we have in stock, simply from a standpoint of uniqueness, design, and functionality. It's pretty wild. We frequent Las Vegas all the time, so this watch is the Vegas watch in my opinion, because there's multiple games on this watch, not just one. You have blackjack, you have dice, and you have roulette, which is my favorite gambling game. And right here, we'll just show you the back of it. There's no ball like the Jacob & Co. Roulette watch, which is really amazing, but I think that watch is only designed as a roulette wheel specifically. And I'll tell you one thing really interesting real quick about this movement. Whenever you whenever you shake the wheel, the gearing is set to where it will never land between two numbers. So you'll always land on a number. So right now it landed on 7. So that's really, really cool. I like that aspect about it. So, you know, when you shake it, you're never gonna have to question what number it landed on. As right now it's on 26. Again, you can make some money on this watch. So you can bet your friends and run roulette games on it. And if you flip it over, you can play blackjack. This watch comes in 4 configurations: rose gold, titanium PVD like this one, white gold, and platinum. So, you know, this one to me is probably the coolest one because it kind of just will wear with everything. It's black, it's slick. That red stitching with that black strap really brings the watch to life. Something I want you guys to look at is this dial layout. It is technically a skeleton dial. You have to look very carefully, but everything is kind of encased in this clear, smoked clear dial. So if you look past it, you can kind of see the gears, the cards are kind of laying around. It's super cool. And if you look at the hands are really interesting. The outside of the hands look like rubies, which is because they're synthetic rubies. They're obviously not real rubies. But so this watch actually has 4 sapphire crystals attached to it, believe it or not. So you would think there's just top and bottom. But you have the top crystal, the bottom crystal, and the side crystals. So there's 2 more right there. But yeah, there is 4 pieces of sapphire there, which is really cool. Let's talk about this roulette wheel for a second, because I'm sitting here playing with it. I'm trying to guess numbers. If I was to gamble this watch, let's say you put $100 on red. Let's see what happens. And it landed on red. So there you go. I just doubled up. But what's really cool about this roulette wheel is it actually acts as the winder. So it actually winds up the watch, which obviously I think was the appropriate thing to do with this watch. As you know, I wish it had the ball. That's my only complaint about this piece. While we're on the topic of the movement, it is made out of 501 components. Not quite as crazy as the Blancpain Chinese Calendar watch, but it's still a lot to make this watch work. You still have a lot of components, and it's not even a perpetual calendar. It's just simply a game watch. So every time you hit that button, you can actually hear a little chime in there. And one thing about these chimes is Christophe Claret has sourced these chimes from one of the best chime makers in Switzerland. It has probably one of the best sounding chimes out of a watch. So they actually use those same chimes in other perpetual calendars and minute repeaters and so forth. So you actually have a little bit of a flavor of a minute repeater in there because you get some cool little sounds out of it. So if you listen, you can... and then you can just spin it, and then it just spins it again. So obviously, if we just played this hand, we lost to the watch because it just hit blackjack 21 while the bottom hit 16. So obviously we lost, but if you want to reset the game, you just hit that, and there you go. It resets the whole game. And I'll tell you something that's really cool. The watch is certified random. So that means there is a certificate in the box that it's certified random. You cannot predict this watch. You cannot predict this game. So if you play over and over and over, you're not going to learn the watch. It's going to always be random, which is super cool because it makes it super fair to play with your friends if you decide to have a little table match on the go. So if you're bored somewhere and you're running this watch, make some money. The discs that these cards sit on is actually made out of solid gold, which helps that momentum spin. So when it does spin, it just really spins up the watch, and the weight of that gold really accelerates that spin. So like once again, you can hear it in there, and it just sounds really nice, actually. It has a really cool sound. It almost sounds like a deck of cards being shuffled, so it's really neat. And another personalized thing you can do with this watch, which I have to find it. I was told this, and it's really interesting. You can set this watch to your lucky number. You actually have to have a watchmaker do it. So right here, right there, it says lucky number right on that green jewel, and it's set to 7. So the previous owner of this watch, his lucky number was 7, so he had the watch set to 7. Which is just really, really cool. Just these little tiny details on this watch are just everywhere. On the game of blackjack, you have 880,000 different combinations that could happen on this dial. So again, truly random out of that 880,000. Good luck reading cards on this game. This is probably what they should be doing on the casino because you cannot read cards here, nor can you predict the deck because it is so shuffled. Market price for this watch is kind of all over the place as there's not very many for sale. It's a very limited watch. So right now in the marketplace, you can probably find this watch just north of $100,000, but for the sake of this video, we are selling this piece at 75 grand. Again, this is probably the most unique watch we have in complications because of what it does and how it works and what you can do with it. It's actually a lot of fun to tinker with. So if you like tinkering with watches, this is the watch to have. All right, well, that's it for Under the Loupe. Just let me know in the comments which watch you would rather have. Would that be the Chinese calendar watch or the Christophe Claret gambler's watch? And thanks again for watching this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.